Hey there, cadet. Nice to see you again. That Grim back there got me pretty good, and I know I'm not gonna make it. I need you to finish my life's work for me, okay? It's a YouTube video, a review of a rwby fanfic. Fuck you, that's not stupid. Whatever. Will you do it? Thank you. Well, you should get out of here. I gotta pop this X pill. Remnant Invicta. Bonjour, comment es-tu? Welcome back to Fanfic Review. Today's review will be about Remnant Invicta. Spoilers ahead, onto the positives. My first positive is the ending. I know the ending is probably cliche, having a character from the story be revealed to have been the one telling it the entire time, but I still love the reveal. Another positive is the characters' deaths. Not that I enjoyed reading them die, but it's how Core genuinely made me emotional even after the 5th death. Like, it's bizarre how the entire story is basically screaming,
"Everyone and everything you know will be gone!"
And after each one, I was still like, what do you mean Sud was just ripped in half in front of me? Nora dying to Grim Acid off screen? It can't be. Seriously, I cried during Yang's death. They aren't here for shock value. Each one is genuinely meaningful and heartbreaking at the same time. That one conversation between Jean and Weiss, where he offers to take Weiss out to eat after the war is over, both thinking the other is going to survive, but both knowing they are going to die, is just fucking haunting. Because when the conversation happens, you think Weiss is going to survive, but way later on, while she's on Terminus, she reveals that she knew she was going to die the entire time, and that entire conversation was just two dead men walking, trying to comfort one another. And you may be hearing this and think, wow, this shit sounds depressing, and at times it can feel that way, but it is only through the dark can the light be appreciated. When something terrible isn't happening, it is so infinitely hopeful and joyous. When they are partying or simply eating lunch, there is a pervasive sense of hope radiating off everybody. Another positive, or just something I took note of, is Jean doesn't really feel like the main character. Here, it doesn't feel like all the cool and interesting stuff happens to or around Jean, unlike Core's other works, which isn't all that important, I just thought it was interesting. Also, Ozpin at the end of the story is fucking hilarious. He's telling kids about how Jean actually used to be, and it's so good. Why, if John were here now, he would not be doing schoolwork. He'd be smoking crack behind that tool shed. Get to it, kids. And the fucking workers at the nursing home he's at are like, Ozpin, shut the hell up. No one asked. It's a perfect way to end this story. One last thing in the positive section. It's a pretty small thing, but I thought it was really cool. At the very end of the story, Ruby and John have made it to Salem's castle when they come across a Beowulf. Not the strongest of Grimm, but still a decent threat for a huntsman, insurmountable for a civilian, and for all intents and purposes, Jean is not that much stronger than the average civilian. And he kills it with ease, and it kind of puts into context how petrifying the setting is. The Grimm have grown so strong that even just a slightly above average civilian can take out the horrors of Canon Ruby with ease. Now on to the negatives. Okay, so you know how earlier in the positive section I mentioned how at the end of the story it was revealed that Ozpin was the one who wrote the story in universe? The reveal is all well and good until you think about it. During the story, Jean and Ruby have a sex scene, and while it isn't explicit, there is some description, and I think you can see where I'm going with this. Old man Ozpin, probably in his 60s or older, is writing in detail about two teenagers he knew having sex. It's just kinda fucking icky when you think about it like that. Another thing about the ending I don't like is how Jean wins. Jean gets captured and is under the effects of Grimrot, an infectious mind control Grim. And this seems like the end. Salem's voice booms in his head, stealing his agency and will. All is lost until... Who's that? Why, it's his dead friends, of course, here to give him a boost of courage to save the day. Are you fucking kidding me? After all of this, and it's the power of friendship that ends it. I'm not even gonna get into how terrible it is tone-wise, I'm just gonna speak on how it makes zero sense story-wise. How come none of the other huntsmen in there with him couldn't break control? Did they not have friends or loved ones to break them out? You know how earlier I spoke about how Jean didn't feel like a main character? That's true for every part of the story except for this one part. I have one theory on how Jean broke out, but if you don't care, then just skip to 530. Okay, so basically, throughout the story, it's explained that due to Jean's lack of control over his aura, he doesn't block damage, he just passively dampens it. Keyword passively. I think maybe that's why he was able to break control. He was passively dampening the Grimrot. Anyways, explanation over. I also wish the story was just a tad longer, like 1 or 2 more chapters just with the characters hanging out, as I feel like their dynamics could have been further expanded upon, and just so there'd be a tad more tragedy upon their deaths. Well, that's everything I have to say. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed it, it would mean a lot if you liked or subscribed. If you have any recommendations for future fics to review, then please comment them down below. Au revoir, passe une bonne journée. This was Fanfic Review.